Hey everybody, clearing. Okay, this blue is still the color of the energy, deep introspection, but this is going to be a divine masculine check-in. I'm going to start doing these a little different when I remember to. We're going to look at what energies are affecting the divine masculine at this time and how that relates to the internal divine masculine polarity within the feminine and the external masculine. So I'm really going to detail what that process looks like on both levels. But what is the alchemy that's going on at this time? What is the alchemical focus? The new pearl. Okay, let's have a look. The new pearl. The new pearl is one of the great promises of alchemy. From a single grain of sand, the pearl forms slowly but surely in the salty mouth of the oyster. The new pearl emerges as an alchemical miracle, a sight unimaginable at the outset. That said, the process is generated from irritation itself, such is the medicine of the new pearl card. The work is underway, but the gem has yet to be formed. Don't become petty and hasty, seeking a return on your efforts. Rather, turn to patience, consistency, and humility to remedy the discomfort. Let the magic of time and salt water do its work. Relax, believe, and support a fellow alchemist in finding the grit that will become their pearl. Don't worry about you right now. The entire ocean is your ally. Wow, okay, so the first message I'm getting there for you divine masculines is that if anything has really frustrated you about the journey, you felt pressure, you felt like you didn't have what it takes to go forward at this point, relax. It's okay. This is the tenacity cycle where you're learning that you're not going to run out of time and you can do whatever you need to get going on this. For the internal masculine, this is anywhere you've efforted, feminines, and been met with zero reciprocation or response, or anything that's left you hanging when you've tried to do something to move the connection forward, or you've been guided to be in some kind of a action taking communication, anything like that, and it hasn't produced results. This is saying that grain of sand that feels like an irritation, it's doing its work. It will produce results. Have faith, take heart, relax, allow. But really what's standing out is collaborate with others. Don't isolate during this time. Really encourage dialogue in various directions about the salt, the grit, the life, the beauty of it all. None of it is wrong. None of it is in vain. Okay, so it's like unapologetic, true love coming in here. Real unconditional love, because it's all part of this beautiful process that takes time. 333. Okay, so in light of that, let's see what the divine masculine polarity is conscious of regarding the connections at this time. The world in the inverse. So things still need to be completed that are of material concern. Finances, living situation, stability, structure, foundation. I heard self-made millionaire, but that doesn't need to apply for everyone. There are goals in place that need to be finalized that signify stepping into our security, safety, potential, not playing small and shrinking, and seeing our tenacity, seeing the ability to rise, whatever that looks like. So essentially, no more playing small, no more holding back that portion of us that really matters to each of us individually, and feeling the process firsthand. Divine feminines in that inner masculine polarity where you don't need anybody outside of yourself to save you, that you have all the tools, all the magic you need to be thriving in your own right. There are a few loose ends that you need to clean up, that you need to take accountability for, but your external masculine here is really tapping in with gusto for their whole life. I'm hearing their whole life is being converted to a higher timeline in the physical right now. Don't interrupt that process. What can we see for the internal masculine within the feminine? The frequency of alchemy, here's that word again, activates our magical ability and remembrance of the magic that we hold inside. Each one of us has the potential to access the ancient knowledge that allowed the true alchemist to perform miracles of transmutation. So your external masculine may not be front row and center right now because you're tapping into this alchemical process within you to activate your own expansion in your own right. How does it pertain to external masculine? Knight of Swords. I saw a meme the other day that said the right doors will open for you when you are the version of yourself that matches those doors. So there is a promise in the energy that you will be stepping through into your highest timelines when you've become that. And this brings in communication. So it's not a punishment or a shortcoming, feminines, that you're not there yet. It's part of the process of alchemy. It's part of the experience of the becoming for you to witness this in yourself. It is a vital part of transmutation, of mastery, that can't be overlooked and focused on simply your external masculine. You must allow this internal process to play out. This does bring in communication. So I just heard, never fear. Your masculine is not ever far from you regarding communication. If those energetic or material realm updates are essential, are needed, are warranted for continued progress and growth. I heard safety checks, trust building, updates with details on lives. That will never be hidden from you. It will come in some shape or form as it's relevant to each of your journeys, because these are tandem processes. Even if it's not through the romantic lens, the condition of romantic connection, you will still get the necessary information needed. So don't fear that the connection you feel with your external masculine is in vain. It is relevant to your journey, but right now there is a deep focus on your own becoming. And external masculines, you may be feeling like communicating but not wanting to go deeply with your feminine. That's okay. Learn to differentiate what is appropriate to exchange and what feels like crossing some kind of sacred boundary. You can walk that edge where it's not just all or nothing. You can begin to soften. Feminines, you can begin to soften about that concept of all or nothing as well. The feminine and masculine tend to do that in slightly different ways. That might be a nice meditation for today. What can we see for the masculine's conscious awareness of the divine feminine? Yes. Okay, 10 of Cups. This is the be-all, end-all, like the most emotional fulfillment and gratitude one can have. It does, however, feel a little bit like a fantasy because there is a division between the internal and external masculine. Still within the process of alchemy here. What does the internal masculine in the feminine need to look at? The frequency of delight. Look at how beautiful this sacral orange, empowerment yellow, red root, but also this intuitive violet. Our capacity to create and experience feelings of intense joy and happiness. The more delight we feel, the more delight we invoke in others. So feminines, actively activate your inner masculine to take you into delight, whether that's physically taking action and going somewhere, being in an environment that makes your heart sing. Do everything every day to keep yourself in this high frequency joy and delight, because the more delight we feel, the more delight we invoke in others. That is that magnetic energy with your masculine. This is not something you can fake. This is the real deal, and your masculine feels it. Your external masculine feels it, but you must evoke that within yourself. Okay, and the advice about the external masculine, Queen of Swords. So this is the contrasting karmic feminine energy. When you are in this genuine delight, ain't nobody gonna rain on your parade. This karmic squeaky wheel, negative Nancy, no offense about the name Nancy, I do not love it when that term comes through. Much love to all the Nancys, wink wink. Okay, this though brings in a contrast where your masculine continues to get out of this daydreamy thing that you are too good to be true, that you're just a fantasy, that it can't be grounded. Enough of this contrast will cause your masculine to put down the pretense and actually allow for this experience of life that lives in the energy of delight. You've got to stabilize that energy of delight deep within you, feminines, for this to play out in the physical. 1111, make that wish, commit to that, I just heard. What can we see for the conscious awareness of the masculine on the heart space? That there is no deal breaker or obstacle. There ain't no mountain high, no valley low. This really shows there is no actual blockage. There are always ways to go through the energy. What can we see for the internal masculine? Discernment. The frequency of discernment supports our ability to view the world and the people around us from a place of inner balance and detachment, yet with compassion and wisdom. Okay, so yes, this is you keeping on the straight and narrow, feminine. So this is you differentiating between all of the different, I want to say temptations, but options in your life, that you don't have to fill a void, that your own internal masculine stability and alignment can protect you from things that you would otherwise have dabbled in or been lost in or searching in. Discernment helps you stay on the straight and narrow. And because we're looking at that integrity within you, pay attention to where your external masculine isn't showing up and where you can show up for yourself in those times. A perfect example is the temptation to have casual connection with other masculines because your masculine isn't showing up. You can ask yourself if that's settling and be your own internal stability that says, no, I don't need to do something that is not long-term or beneficial in that way. And therefore, you may not need that distraction. For instance, I'm not saying that's a general, the only thing, but it can apply in many ways where anywhere that your external masculine isn't in your life substantially, that you would cut a corner or let yourself down. This is saying use that integrity that you would pin on your external masculine even when they're not there. If you wouldn't do it when your external masculine was present, don't do it when they're not. What can we see for external? Page of Swords. So this is beginner's eyes. What this does to your external masculine when you're taking care of business and they don't need to even be present in your life for you to be that righteous, they start looking at you differently. They start seeing you as somebody trustworthy, integral, full of character, investment ready. What can we see on the heart space for the conscious mind of the masculine? This abandonment wound is being released to the degree that it's being seen objectively. So at this stage in the energy, the external masculines are understanding their triggers with regard to abandonment wound and the projections that they've placed on this connection. When those fears of the feminine not just needing to fill a void or be unpredictable or untrustworthy when the masculine isn't there, when the feminine anchors that consistency and stability within them, where the external masculine doesn't need to be involved in order for the feminine to be aligned and righteous, then the masculine can really put down this abandonment wound. How does this play out on the internal masculine? Balance. Balance supports our ability to find harmony with all aspects of our three-dimensional and multi-dimensional layers of reality. So this came out in the inverse. That shows me, feminines, that when you align and you don't need your masculine for that external influence to do the right thing, this balances out your masculine externally. But what is another message for the external masculine? King of Pentacles. This is where commitment genuinely starts coming onto the radar. When your masculine no longer fears they're going to be abandonment wound triggered, they start legitimately thinking about life partnership and commitment. What can we see for what the masculine wishes to manifest at this time? Ending the burden. So we've got the 10 of Wands, the 10 of Swords, both here, 10-10, divine plan. This is like a time capsule that starts happening in the energy when we reach this critical threshold of awareness, of accountability, of alignment. What happens in the internal feminine or masculine? The energy of crown chakra supports the feeling of being connected to a higher power and part of the larger whole. So when we no longer are leaning on the scaffolding of an external structure, we're finding it more and more between self and source. It becomes less of idol worship to the person and more this integrity and this forged alignment, free will aligning with divine will. It's no longer circumvented through an external partner or what the masculine is doing or not doing externally. This streamlines the direct connection to source in ways that haven't been established yet. When the external masculine doesn't show up, it allows for this pillar of strength to be established and fortified within the energy of the feminine. How does this relate to the external masculine? Wow, there's the 10 of Swords again. It's just another confirmation that this running, ghosting, pulling back, not showing up layer is approached, addressed, seen consciously, navigated, and released. So this fear of abandonment becomes released in your external masculine. What is the action the masculine wishes to take? Truth, above all things, truth, establishment of truth. This again, I'm hearing the word integrity. I'm also seeing the sword and the stone, where only the pure of heart can enter through into this realm of true safety, of true nobility, of true love. You get to this door with love. Love is patient. Love is kind. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not boast. It does not envy. It is long-suffering, and it always believes the best. This is how we cultivate preparing for this doorway and all of the ways that we take the action and we make the decisions in our lives so that our lives are cleared of all of the things that are not love. How does this relate to the internal masculine? Tantric journey. The frequency of tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge and wisdom that we intrinsically hold about how to reach a state of wholeness and completion through our sensual experiences with ourselves and with another. This came out in the inverse. So there are some awarenesses to be had here, and I'm not blaming the external masculine, but feminines, the degree of intimacy or physical sensual connection you've had with your masculine has been in direct proportion so far with how unbalanced you have been reaching for external masculine in the past. So when we come into celibacy and the preparation for consummating sacred union, we are no longer giving away our sexual energy before it has reached a righteous standard. And so really take to heart that anything that has kicked off, or the longing for something to have kicked off prematurely if you have not been intimate or sensual with your person, that can be emotionally, mentally, and physically. It's not just the physical act, but really look at that concept of righteousness and of wholeness and of consistency and commitment within self, and look at how the physical interactions or considerations of those have played out so far, and really seek to bring that into the patience and perseverance that allows you to hold out for the real thing once you've come into this full confidence that you are not in weak energy, and that there's no animosity about that, that you're truly balanced with it, so that you truly know what you are worth and deserve, and you are only open to taking action on a sensual level with energies that warrant that. It's all a developmental curve, but this is saying there is one truth, that you can come into a spiritual, sacred, pure partnership, and that it does have to do with the energetic balance. This is reminding me that I did almost launch a chakra tune-up course last spring, and I'm being guided to head that up for September, October of this year. It's going to be 5 weeks, and I'm getting the amount $333. So I'm going to start advertising that. I would like to get at least 10 people for it, and I'm really excited about it because it's going to calibrate all of the chakras so that you know where this readiness, what this balance looks like, so that you can measure where you're at and go towards an increase of righteousness, alignment, purity, that righteous standard in there. So we're going to go through exercises to help you figure out where you're currently at with that, not just in theory, but actually based on the actions and thoughts that you're having in your life, and how some strategies to bring you into more focused awareness of how you can close the gap towards that impeccability and righteousness. So that's going to be interesting. So if this speaks to you, you might be drawn to that course. Okay, what can we see for the external masculine? 8 of Wands. So right now there is actually a disconnect in the telepathic, the signs, the synchronicities. So you may have found in previous cycles that without even communicating in the physical, there was spooky action at a distance where your masculine was posting, manifesting, aligning, in ways you didn't have to talk about or collaborate. It was just happening all the time. This is a cycle where I'm getting for the month of August, there may be very little energetic exchange, so that you learn you don't have to be reliant on your external masculine, and it's this deep internal rooting, this message of the feminine going through a deep taproot, putting down lasting roots in our own right so we can expand, is dominant in the energy. So this is essential right now. You might be wondering if your connection is tapering off or being closed out. That is not the way you're meant to be looking at this right now. You're meant to be looking at this as a period of expansion for each individual, and then a comparing of journeys in some way when the cycle comes full circle. So oftentimes we'll be in these journeys and there will be space established, and then we'll grow, space, and then we'll grow, space, and then we'll grow. So we're in one of those, especially with the Lionsgate portal. If you have really taken advantage of the portal energy, you will have meditated on what you particularly are working on to bring an increase of compassion and joy and delight into your life. And the rest of the month of August until the eclipse, September 3rd, 4th, is going to be about you downloading that instruction and how that can be established in your life. Depending on how much you are believing you can experience joy after the eclipses, that new version of self is going to start ramping up, and the world is going to see what you've leaped towards. So some are going to be in extraordinary new positions with new opportunities. Some, if it's within your comfort zone to just do a little bit, or you didn't need a lot of progress, you're going to see just the right things aligning for that continued steady climb. But yeah, right now this is about the expansion of your internal masculine and really understanding the way energy and alignment works with regard to consummating these things in the physical and bringing in that layer of sexuality, sensuality into the connections when it is warranted because of the energetic foundation. So this is an essential time, feminines, to expand your personal potential so you can have an even more enriched connection with your external masculine. What can we see for the biggest challenge for the masculine at this time? Inner bravery. So just as the feminine is needing to be very, very brave and tap into their internal masculine, the external masculines are also feeling this go it alone, stand alone reality that they're facing at this time. They are really in their proving ground for embodying extraordinary progress in their life. For many, they are going beyond what generationally they've been shown. So further education, financial markers, wealth, physical health. They are breaking generational curses. And right now, this is the make or break. So the divine masculines are not going to fail this test, but this is by default a time of proving where they're not relying on karmic crutches, they are not leaning on the divine feminine, they are fully going forward in that highest path. But right now they're being shown that they must go this alone for the noble experience of it to be fully embraced. And in a way, the divine feminine is also getting that nudge within that they must take their own wholeness to a noble, righteous level. What is going on in the inverse for the divine feminine? We get the energy of attraction amplifies the qualities that attract and support us on our journey towards inner balance and harmony. Okay, so this is your opportunity to be further balanced and thriving. This is no longer about, I can do it on my own if my masculine isn't there, I guess, if I have to. This is really thriving. This is really delighting. This is really being in your vibrance in life, the thriving. So we got that little message. Meet with others who are going through this formation of the pearl, the grit, coming through it in celebration. And I'm seeing high fives and chest bumps and all this kind of lovely energy where it's just this camaraderie with all the people that we're walking home together, right? So this really is less about your external masculine right now, but knowing that you will experience external proof of this internal expansion. What can we see for the external masculine? Ace of Pentacles. So this is a brand new cycle where both are even more magnificent, majestic, magnetic, abundant than before. There is so much trust and parallel and alignment in these connections. This spiritual support and collaboration that's happening, your situations. You cannot make it up. So it's not about denying your counterpart or that you have such a connection with someone. It's not about rejecting that. I actually had someone tell me yesterday, we think of letting go as like this, but really these connections at this time, letting go is like this. So, and I just imagined a little flame being held there, the keeper of the flame. It's not about discarding and throwing it away. It's literally about not holding on so tight so that it can grow, so that it can fan the flames of what's coming in through these connections. And this is the brand new level of navigation coming into the physical, where both are experiencing their true divinity coming in through the flow of their own lives. And that is bringing us all into, changing the world, changing our own outlook, changing the way we interact. We saw that bit of service with meeting together to encourage other pearl makers. So it's absolutely phenomenal energy. What can we see for the solution to this challenge? keeping up with prudence, working on things, being diligent, doing what is needed, continuing to work on finances, establishing. This is the 8 out of 10. So this is where the apprentice goes it alone and gets their land legs with their own direction, their own specialty, their own niche. And so the internal, external masculine is going for gold here. What can we see for the internal masculine in the feminine? Romantic love supports our journey to feel whole and complete through the experience and reflection of a conscious lover. So this is the reflection. In the inverse, this is more about the lessons that you've learned where your external masculine has not come forward, and that has created such a deep sense of safety and peace in you, because even if you were not strong enough to see it at the time, whenever your masculine has kept you in check, that has been God moving through them so that you could stay on the straight and narrow and redirect the energy back to you. There is nothing that affects us the way a romantic, intimate connection affects us. None of our platonic, familiar, or friend relationships can hit on that intimate chord. The reason why that is such a central chord in our being, that is so close to our connection to divinity, that can sometimes get distracting, is because that is our procreation chakra alignment. That is our bridge to the eternal. That is the river of life. That is where we conceive children. That is where we conceive innovative passion projects. That is where the masculine and feminine meld to bring new into this material dimension, whether that is intellectual, emotional, physical, however that comes through, that is the doorway. And so these connections are different. Yes, parental, child axis is along those lines, but it is a different thing than the kinetic energy and the alignment exercise with lovers or romantic connection. There is an accountability in romantic connections that can approach mastery, whereas the parental child axis is whatever ends up being the level of development when that child is conceived, or with passion projects or any kind of creation into the physical. The agenda, the reason, the alignment doesn't necessarily have to be righteous for something to come into existence. So these divine connections set a gold standard, a golden standard, a happiness standard, a righteous standard. And that is what needs to be meditated on here. And the reflection of how this particular masculine has created that trust and safety in the connection by not settling. And likewise, when you've been strong and they have been weak, it is a dance. What can we see for the external masculine? The 5 of Swords. So this again is the free will. So in the inverse, I love this card always in the inverse because it's where we're seeing. We're not cutting corners. We're not being lazy. We're not blaming. We're not being cheap. This is where we're seeing the aspect that we each have. But this is where you're seeing your masculine's not the bad guy. Your masculine is an ally. Your masculine is a conduit of the divine. All experiences are what we need. That does not mean that they are conscious or that the counterpart in question is conscious. This is indicating an awakening of consciousness to the way that we are each intuitively navigating the decisions on this journey. So you will start to see your masculine stepping into more maturity and wisdom and more conviction about what they say yes and no to within your relationship. So I'm hearing after the eclipses, your masculine's going to start telling you more of the backing for their authority in making decisions and why. It's not going to simply just be yeses and nos or approaching you or not. It's going to be more communication because they are being equipped with the wisdom to know why they're being guided, one way or the other. So there will be more communication. That's excellent message. That's the solution to masculines. If you're watching this, that as you know better, you can speak from that place more openly and with more authority. So largely the masculines have been action speaks louder than words, but we do see this element of confirmation coming through communication. That is based on a foundation of trust and safety to be ourselves. That is it being established in these connections. What can we see for the direction in the next few weeks? Ooh, Queen of Pentacles. So feminines, you are being set apart as this life partner energy, this righteous energy, this self-contained, beautiful, whole, established energy. Your masculine is seeing you as the one, not just feeling you as the one, but having the confirmation that you actually are embodying this energy fully. How is this affecting the internal masculine? Forgiveness. The energy of forgiveness strengthens our capacity to let go of unwanted feelings and emotions. So feminines, because you're not acting out, because you're in balance, because this month of August is likely going to be a very transformative time for you, it has to do with forgiving yourself for the times that you've acted in your masculine inappropriate. So doing too much, speaking too much, taking certain actions. It's going to be this deep level of forgiveness where it's all what it's been, and that you can further relinquish the need to act in any way that comes from unworthiness. So forgiving yourself for any of the times that you have not gotten the results that you've wanted. You haven't been wrong, and they haven't been in vain. All of it is what it is. But this is a time of full surrender and release, so that you are not continuing any of the things that are not just being in your feminine. So this anchoring of the balance of your internal masculine and forgiving yourself for any of the times that's been out of balance, that is actually the staying power that is showing your external masculine your readiness. What can we see for the external masculine? Page of Wands. This is where the prayers for what to do next regarding your connection will start to, I heard, trickle in and be initiated by your masculine, because when they see your readiness and that divine timing comes in for their readiness, this is where they will be in the type of alignment through this kind of process where every step they take will be consciously enacted because of the awareness they're getting from the divine, through prayer, through surrender, through aligning with only what they're being given, and not through their own resistance, their own passivity, their own fear. It won't be of ego, it will be of divine direction. And so this is where the two can come together and not need to know expectations or attachment to certain outcomes, but are mutually deciding wholeheartedly to pray for instruction. That is righteousness, that is alignment, and that is what I see is happening and being calibrated in the collective at this time. Wow. Many blessings, everyone. Bye for now.